Alright guys, tonight we're going to be looking at the Fosi Audio K1. I'm going to say DAC headphone amp. And we'll just start by opening it up. We're going to get straight into it. Before I go too far, I can't say it was sent to me by Fosi. I was offered to review it. I purchased it after my review. If I want to keep it, I get a discount if I want to buy it or not. Or, I already paid for it. They will give me, I don't even remember what it was. It's like 50 or 60% back on my money. But the only reason I do these with Fosi is because they don't tell me what I have to say. The way it works is I buy it, and then I do my review. And regardless of what I say, they'll reimburse me usually 50 or 60%. Sometimes 100% if it's a cheaper item. But yeah, if they didn't allow me, if they requested me to do 4 or 5-star reviews or something, then I would say no. I'm just letting you know. The review is on their behalf, but I did pay for it, so out of my own pocket, awaiting reimbursement, I guess. So we'll start out at the top. They give you this really nice. I already had it open and been using it a while. Just repackaged it up so you guys can see what comes in the box. Really nice USB cable comes with it. Another USB cable. This one's for your power. This one is for your signal from your PC, if you connect it to a PC. This one is like a lot of other these little USB. If I get this straightened out here. Hold on a second. Get some more height. But yeah, this is just a micro USB to regular USB. A lot of these newer audio devices and stuff been using something like this to power them, and you can just use an old cell phone charger to power it. I just plugged this into a USB port on my computer and this into another USB port, and I was able to power it off the computer and feed signal to it from the computer. Bluetooth antenna. We'll pop the device out there. See, even this thing had more packaging than the Pangea cable. They give you a fiber optic cable if you want to connect it to something with fiber optic, which almost nobody does anymore. I guess, I don't know. I don't buy game consoles anymore. Maybe a game console or TV. You could use fiber optic connect to a game console or TV. Fosi Audio manual on how to hook it all up, whether you're happy or not, sort of deal. If you want to get on their Facebook or communicate with them for whatever reason. Yeah, good little booklet of information. We'll go over the specs here real quick. Your inputs, which we'll look at in a minute. Bluetooth 5.0, USB, optical, and coaxial. And then your output type is either 3.5 millimeter or 1/8 headphone jack, which is the small headphone jack, and a set of RCAs. Your chipset is your QCC3003, which is the Qualcomm for the Bluetooth. And then these other ones, the plus STM32070F6P6 plus. I'm not going to read off the other chipsets because I don't know what they are. Bluetooth sampling rate supported is 16-bit up to 48 kilohertz. USB sampling rate 16-bit up to 192 kilohertz and 24-bit up to 96 kilohertz. Optical coaxial sampling is 24-bit up to 24-bit 192. Headphone impedance supported is 16 ohm to 300 ohm. RCA output level, so this is your line level output, is 2 volts, which is good. That's the standard. Your power supply needed is 5 volts. It will probably work on less than that. I don't know if you get a full 5 volts from USB, but it did work, unless most most cell phone chargers and stuff are going to be at least 5 volts, so that'll be fine. Then your THD was 0.001%, which is good. It's plenty good. And your signal to noise ratio is 110 dB, which is plenty good. Whether it actually meets these specifications, I don't know. I could send it in an audio science review, and maybe in a couple months I'd get around to measuring it. But for a product of this caliber in this category, I'm not too worried whether those specs are 100% correct. So, yeah, not bad on the specs. And then it's this nice cute little box, fit in your hand. On the front, you get a nice smooth volume with a indicator mark. I'm glad everybody's starting to put an indicator on there. I hate it when they don't do that, and you have no idea if you forget to adjust this back to 0 and you had it cranked up because you were hammered the night before, and you come out the next morning, put your headphones on, and don't realize it's turned up, and yeah. So yeah, the indicator is always nice. And then there's your headphone jack, and then RCA's on the front for some reason. And then around back, there's your USB input from your PC, optical, coax, and then they have this line here. Those are all inputs. The line up above here, let you know those 3 are all digital inputs. Some LED indicators that will change color. White is USB, blue is Bluetooth, red is optical, and green is coaxial. And then here's your USB, the smaller micro USB for your power. And then this little red thing comes off. You just screw that on like that for your Bluetooth antennae. There we go. Bluetooth antenna is attached. There you go. Nice little guy. We'll go over the form factor real quick. The volume button here is also your mode button. So when you first plug it in, it's off. To turn it on, you can hear a nice clicky. You'll push the power button in and hold it down, and then it'll turn on. Now I'm going to go over some of the cons as I go over the stuff. What I don't like about that is the only way to tell it it's on is these indicator LEDs on the back. So you have to hold it down, and you'll see the light come on, and it's on. But if this was sitting on your desk, first of all, it's not heavy enough to push this button. You're going to have to hold it down. And I mean, it's a good heavy click. It's a nice click, but you're going to have to hold it down while you hold this down to turn it on. It's one of those things, if this was on your desk or in your room, once it's on, you could just leave it on. You wouldn't really need to be turning it on and off. But it's long press to turn on, long press to turn off. And then the switch in between your modes on the back here, your different inputs, your USB, Bluetooth, optical, and coax. To switch between those, you have to click this. Now, that's where having this just sitting on your desk and you want to just push this to change between the modes, you're not going to be able to. You're going to have to hold it down or put your hand on it, say like this, and press those. And you're not going to necessarily know which one you're on unless you memorize the order they cycle through. Or if this is close enough to like a wall, you could see the LED reflecting off of, whatever's behind it, what color it is. So it's not perfect. It would be nice if there was some sort of maybe power indicator on the front. Not a huge deal. Like I said, if it's one of those things where this is going to be on your desk or in your room, this little thing, once it's turned on, you could just leave it on, and then you just always assume that it's on. The next thing I don't get is why the RCA outs are in the front. I mean, I get why they are, because they're trying to put a lot in one little box. There's not room for them on the back, but there's room on the front. If you were actually going to use this as a USB DAC from your computer, because you could run your computer into this and run your RC outs from this to a stereo or something, and use it as a DAC. It's just kind of odd that you would have your RCA outs on the front of the device. But again, it's a form factor thing. They're trying to keep it as small as possible. So, and someone might just be using, I don't know, just a lot of it comes down to how you're going to use it. The way I would use it, I would not want these on the front necessarily. Because like I thought about using it on my desk as a headphone amp. And then say you had some powered speakers or something on your computer desk, you could feed them signal from this, but then you got these cords coming out the front of it. I don't know. Being its form factor and that it's got so many plugs on the front and back, it'd almost be better that this almost like kind of sit behind something out of the way where you can't see it, and you just have your cords kind of going to it, like tucked away in a shelf or something. I don't know. I guess all I can sum it up to is the layout and form factor is not the most ideal. If you're not going to use these, then who cares? Maybe it's nice that they're just there for the occasion, and you're just going to use this as a headphone amp on your desk or something, and a Bluetooth receiver. You can connect your phone to it and listen to music. Connect your phone and plug your headphones into this, and do it that way. Or, you could connect your phone to this and then run RCAs out to a stereo, basically use it as a Bluetooth receiver for a stereo. The volume is only volume for the headphone jack. Doesn't adjust the volume on RCAs. So in that order, it's only working as a DAC. Yeah, it's a nice little box. As far as the headphones, like I often just use like my S9 is basically as a music streamer slash amp, headphone amp, whatever. Audio wise, I didn't really notice much difference audio quality wise over my Galaxy S9, which is pretty good. I'm not saying that's bad. That's pretty good. The main difference is it gets louder. It's got more power. Yeah, I can't really power 300 ohm headphones off my S9 very well. It is an upgrade over using a phone. It's got a lot more functionality. You're getting a lot in a little box. I would say for the money, it's a good headphone amp. I didn't test it back to back against something like the DAC FX6, even though these are quite similar. This almost has a lot of the same functions as that, just smaller. I'm not going to be too critical of the sound quality of the headphones because this is not priced in a category where you're looking for, top-notch audiophile fidelity. I will say it sounds very good. I could easily listen to it. I used it for a couple weeks, mostly with my Koss KPH30Is, listening to all kind of music with it. I had no problem. It doesn't have a gain, high gain, low gain, or anything, but the the KPH30Is, I think, are a 60 or 64 ohm headphone, and really the loudest I ever had to have it was about halfway with those, and that was pretty loud. 10 o'clock was a little more comfortable, but really cranking on it, we're talking noon, 1 o'clock was getting pretty loud with those. Louder, I wouldn't leave it that loud for very long. I think most of the time I was around 10, 11 o'clock with those at most. So I would say it has a decent amount of power. I don't have any 300 ohm headphones on hand right now, so I wasn't able to try it with any. I do have a set of 16 ohm, just cheapo headphones, over-ear headphones, and it got plenty loud with those as well. So if you're looking for a small, compact package with a lot of connections, kind of an all-in-one little box, it does many things at an acceptable performance level, this is something probably to look at. I'm just surprised how many things they can get inside a little box nowadays. Link will be in the description on that. Check it out. See if it's something that would suit your needs. Is it something I'm going to be using very often? Maybe. I wouldn't mind having a little headphone amp on my desk. I just don't listen to headphones all that often. Anyways, I think that's going to be it for this little guy. If you have any questions or comments about it, put them down below. I'll link it in the description. And yeah, have a good night, guys.